This week on Motorcar History, we take a look at the Rover P4. Rover P4 was a car manufactured from 1949 up until 1964. All P4 models had 4 doors in the suicide style with 4 seats. The designation P4 was a manufacturer code designated the model group. These were not used so much by the customers. These were called by their numbers, such as the Rover 90, 110, etc. But these do not run in sequence. The models were known especially towards the end of construction period and afterwards under the nickname Auntie. First P4 was the Rover 75. This was released in 1949. A noticeable feature of these early cars was a single headlight in the radiator grille. A styling feature that was quite popular at the time became known as the Cyclops Eye. This proved unpopular and was soon abandoned in March 1952. In contrast to its predecessor, the Rover P3, it had much more modern styling that was particularly controversial amongst conservative Rover customers from the time. On the post-war models from the USA, from the manufacturer Studebaker. Therefore, Rover's styling team chose this body shape as a starting point for the new Rover model, ultimately wanting the new shape to remain relevant for some time. All early P4s had an aluminium body panels. At first they came fitted with a 6-cylinder inline engine with the replacement of 2100 cc's and 76 brake horsepower. This engine carried over from the 1948 Rover P3. A 4-cylinder was introduced in 1953 as the Rover 60. Its 4-cylinder inline engine, 2-litre displacement, 61 brake horsepower, also used in the Land Rover. The vehicle was replaced in 1959 by the Rover 80 with a revised version of the Land Rover 4-cylinder engine. Introduced at the same time as the 4-cylinder version was the top-line Rover 90, which had a more powerful 2.6-litre 90 brake horsepower inline-6 engine. This was replaced by the Rover 100 in 1959. The 4-speed gearbox was shifted with a lever on the steering collar and was later changed to a centre shifter. Production of its first model ended in 1954 with over 43,000 built. A new revised Mark II version came in 1954. Mark II came in 1954 with some changes. It had a 3-part panoramic rear window. The engine was now 2100 cc displacement. This model was revised again in 1955 and received a large 2.2 litre engine, and by 1957, as with all the P4s, the body was modernised and got a new radiator grille and new wings. Production ceased in 1959 with the introduction of the Rover 100. Also, in 1956, along came the Rover 105R and the Rover 105S. These were introduced. They had a high-performance version of the 2.6 litre engine used in the previous 90. Twin carburetors provided 108 brake horsepower and much more luxurious interiors. The 105R came with the Rover Drive automatic gearbox, while the 105S came with a manual gearbox with overdrive. When production of the 105 models ended, almost 11,000 had been produced, mainly with the manual gearbox. The 90 model was replaced by a more powerful Rover 100 in 1960. This model was made until 1962, which was then replaced by the Rover 110. The Rover 110s were the last model series of the P4. These were marketed as a Rover 95 and Rover 110. These were replaced in 1964 by the much more modern Rover P6. In total, around 130,000 of the P4 were built from 1949 until 1964.